Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Truth Podcast. And today, my guest is Lena Livinsky, and she is originally from Poland and moved over here to New York City. She is a speech pathologist, and she specializes in assisting immigrants from all around the world to acclimate to their new environment and to help them with their speech and their accent and everything else that are challenges when they come to this country. I hope you enjoyed this recording. If you do, give me a thumbs up and like the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And I think you're going to really enjoy this one. We're going to start the show right now. Welcome to the show, and here is Lena. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here.
It's amazing, as always. But I wanted to ask you something at first. I know you're an immigrant from Poland. Mm-hmm. How was your transition here? Was that easy for you? Was that difficult for you? Or?
Well, I was almost 15 years old, so it's during that very difficult time in your life where you're kind of figuring out who you are, you're becoming an adult, but you're not really there yet. And then you're taking to, I know, me too. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, what's happening? But it was very difficult for me because I've never been to the States before. And I really have only left Poland twice. And I went to Czech Republic and Germany, which is so close by anyways, culturally and in terms of, where it is and how people are. So coming here was like a total shock for me. It was a tough transition, but I think I needed to go through it to kind of become who I am today.
So who are you today? Let's go into that. What do you do now? What's your profession? What do you do? And what do you want to do?
So I'm a speech language pathologist. So I still work in the field. I still work with mostly kids who have either communication, language, or feeding disorders. So I kind of do that by day. And then by night or on my days off, I am an entrepreneur. So now.
So tell me about the entrepreneurial part.
Right. That's why we're here.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Yeah.
So I'm an accent coach where I'm working with people to help them with their communication in terms of clarity and confidence, because a lot of people who learn English as their second language, they're just not confident in how they communicate. And a lot of entrepreneurs actually, just because it's so different when you're speaking a new language in terms of how you can express yourself. So that's one of the things that I do. I also have a podcast called The Accented World.
I have listened.
Where I know you have been on it.
Yes.
Well, your episode will come out soon. So it's actually created for immigrants who want to do something more inspiring with their lives. So I interview guests who are successful, who have inspiring stories to kind of inspire the immigrant community to dream big and pursue their passions in life, career, and business. And most of my guests are either immigrants or world citizens. So it's a nice array of people from all over the world.
Great stories too. The thing is with you, what have been some of the roadblocks that you've had along the way? I mean, on your entrepreneurial journey so far, either internal or external, it doesn't matter which, but just give me some of the background on why we're not an overnight success, I think here. You know what I mean?
No, we're still working really hard. I think the thing for me that was the hardest when I started out is to kind of just outing myself that I'm doing this to like my friends and family and people on social media. I started out with just a blog, which I still have today. But the blog, even posting my first article, internally, the things that were going through internally, I was just so afraid of people judging me. Yeah. I was so afraid of the feedback I was going to get and the criticism and what my friend is going to say, whoever that friend is, or people from high school, the usual fear of being judged that I think a lot of people have to deal with.
A lot of
and
people
just
do have to deal with that. It's called the imposter syndrome when you
mhm.
think that your message isn't, who wants to listen to me, and why would they tune into my show, and why do they care what I think, and stuff like that that goes through your head. But when you sit down and you listen to other people, you don't think that. You're like, wow, that's pretty
Right.
cool. I like what I'm hearing here. This is pretty neat. But
Yeah.
we look in the mirror, we see all our flaws, everything that's wrong with us, everything that's, out of place or not so much what we'd want it to be. And someone else looks at us and like, wow, that's a pretty good looking person, or that's a pretty cool person, stuff like that. We
Right.
don't see it. We don't
No.
see it at all. We judge ourselves
No.
so harshly while the rest of the
No.
world does not.
Exactly. And it's so hard because nowadays in social media, everything seems so polished and perfect. And you have these people influencing us with their perfect lives and their perfect products. And not everybody, of course. But I just feel like the narrative out there, it's so unrealistic, but we somehow
Yeah,
still
yeah.
look up to it. We
Well,
still
I
somehow,
think it's the fake it till you make it stuff really
mhm,
got out there, and I think that was a very big mistake. I think it's better to be transparent and say who you are, and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish, because people would rally behind that rather than somebody that's way up in the sky that they can't reach. I don't think that's the right approach, and I've never been that way. Heck, I'm just me. You know me.
I love it. Yes. But that's what makes you so authentic. And I think that's kind of what we are hoping to really do as entrepreneurs, at least a lot of us, to just be ourselves, be authentic, and still serve somehow and
Hmm.
help other people. But
Yep.
it's not easy to do because you have to try and break through the noise. And I think it's a journey of growth for you to get to that point where you just can be yourself, because in the end, that's what people love. Just
Yes.
you for who you are. They don't want you faking to be somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely not. And if they discover that, then it's really bad for you and your brand and your person, and if you're someone like us that really do want to help people, it hurts your soul. It,
Right.
it does, So you just be yourself, and if they don't like it and your hair's out of place, oh well. You know what I mean? Oh well.
Well, I
On your oh, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I just posted a YouTube video. I'm starting to, well, it didn't even go on YouTube. I just sent it to like my group. I posted a video about something to do with accents because I still do the coaching, and I had
Mhm.
no makeup on. My hair was a mess, but I just honestly didn't care,
Right
because if
there you
I was
go.
to wait until I did my hair and did my
Yep.
makeup,
Me
and
too.
I just would never put it out. I would never put it out. Well, you look beautiful with your
Thank you. Thank you.
mustache filter on and all that
Yes,
stuff. I
yes,
love
this
it.
is fake, but it's funny. I was gonna
I
do
like
some. I
it.
was gonna do something really weird, but I decided, nah, I'll just do this for a while and see if people notice. But it was funny.
I like
Anyway, though,
it.
no, in your niche though, in who you serve, what do you think, or what has been your assessment of what the worst things are, the things that keep popping up that are struggles with those people that are trying to integrate into society and into a new place, a new country? What are some of those barriers that keep popping up for you and your clients?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with low confidence.
Hmm.
A lot of it has to do with the fear of being judged as well, in terms of how they speak, how they present themselves,
Right.
and just them as a person. Because
Yeah.
you come from a different country, your culture is different, your upbringing is different, your cultural references are different. You can't really hold a conversation with a typical person who grew up here and talk to them about, politics, or you can't really talk to
Oh,
them about,
yes.
you know, a TV show that I used to watch as a kid or a few years ago. So a lot of that, there's a lot of barriers in terms of the
Wow.
natural conversation you would have with somebody
Yeah,
who
see, I
would
never even
say,
thought about that. I never even
yeah,
thought that, okay, like a show I watched as a kid or something like that, you would have no reference of that. You would have
no,
no, I mean, you might, but I mean, people that just got here,
right. No, but I
a lot of
didn't
our
for this.
conversation is based on reference. It really
A
is.
lot of it is, yes.
Wow.
And current events. And a
Yeah.
lot of the people who still move here, because they might not know English perfectly, or they prefer to stay closer to their country, they'll follow the current events from their country. They just don't really know in depth what's going on here. So there's
Hmm.
just so much there that kind of leads to communication breakdown. So
Yeah,
that
it
happens a
does.
lot.
And
Hmm.
and it would I can see the insecurity in that. I can.
Yes.
Because if I was trying to talk to you about, well, my Detroit Lions, and you have no idea what the heck I'm talking about,
Right.
it would be an awful conversation, and we probably shouldn't do that here. You know what I mean?
Well, American football in general, because American football is in this country.
Yes,
Everybody else,
that's
football all over the world is soccer.
It's soccer,
as you call it here in America.
Right. Yeah, completely different.
So different.
The other thing is our use of measurement, like weight and Celsius and Fahrenheit. And we are the only, I don't know how it is, but most of the other countries have went to metric and are in metric, and we're not.
Yeah, Great Britain, I think, is still, and maybe India and a few, maybe somewhere else. I think the British colonies in general might have that, but yeah, the whole world, even Canada, everybody has the metric system.
Yeah,
everybody.
And we don't. And it is. You know, you'd think they'd make that stuff easier to translate, don't you think? Right. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, you say kilometers, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, well, I still prefer my temperature in Celsius. I still don't understand Fahrenheit, and I've been here for almost 20 years.
I don't get it at all. I don't get Celsius at all.
I don't get Fahrenheit. I mean, I kind of get Fahrenheit, but is it really like a thing? I prefer Celsius.
Oh, wow. And see, here you go. Here's the difference that we're talking about that happens with the people that you're trying to serve. So what do you say to people that are coming over here, because you've been here for a while,
that
are coming over here and what to expect, I guess?
Oh, that's a really tough one. I think it also depends of where it is here, because Michigan is very different where you are from New York.
Yes.
I think it all depends, and New York City is different for where I am on Long Island. But in general, you know, it's I don't really know what to say. I think you just have to kind of adapt. You just have to come here with an open mind. And
I meant like some of those things that we were talking about, like the metric system and the you know, like the history and the stuff that we all go through, because I could just talk to you about the weather and we'd still have no idea what we're talking about. Oh, it's supposed to be 80 degrees today. It's going to be great. You're like, what?
That's hell. Like, what do you mean 80 degrees? That's really,
Do you see what I'm saying, though? Those are the things
that that's the communication breakdown,
Absolutely.
It's true.
Plus the thick accents that people have. It's a barrier to jobs, too, because you have to, if you're in public service, I mean, you'd have to be able to communicate with those people.
Right. And not only spoken, but also written. And your grammar, you know, if you don't write perfectly, it's really hard to get a good job. And it's also an insecurity. Even for people who have really good grammar, who speak really well, they still have an accent. It's that insecurity piece that really comes into play.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. But I think moving anywhere, you have to do your research. So whether you're moving to, I don't know, Spain, or if you're moving to US or Canada, just do your research. You have to know what you're getting yourself into.
So that was, I'm like, yeah, that's a big move.
That is a big move. I don't know what's out there, but
not either, but you know, that's true though. You do have to do your research and stuff. So what specific things do you help with your clients, and how do you help them overcome those barriers?
Right. Well, for me, I focus on communication. So accent in general, but it's not only the accent. There is a lot that goes into it in terms of just communicating in a new language. Because before you can even speak it without, well, maybe more intelligibly, because I don't even necessarily believe you need to get rid of your accent, because accents are beautiful. I just think that giving you the confidence to put yourself out there as who you are, and also speaking in a way where people really understand you. Because if you don't speak clearly and you have to repeat yourself constantly, that frustration piece builds up. And then the listener, whoever you're speaking to, you know, they might get the wrong impression of you.
Yes.
So that piece is really important. So I help people with that confidence piece. And I help them train their ear, so they really pick out on the differences in the accent or the language they're learning. I help them how to pronounce it appropriately. And then we also talk about that cultural piece of the language. The slang, you talk about idioms, you kind of have to know that. Yeah, because I used to work when I was younger. I think it was my first job. I worked at Eckert's Pharmacy. It's not.
Okay.
It's Rite Aid now. I don't know if you had that, but
We had Eckerd's
in the
here,
okay,
actually,
yeah,
a long
I
time ago.
worked there. Yeah, I think Rite Aid bought them out.
Yeah.
But I remember one of the cashiers, my friend, he said to me something in the terms of, oh, he did something, and then he said, "I killed two birds with one stone." And I got so offended. I was like, how could you have killed two birds and use one stone to do it? Like, you're a horrible
And why
person.
do I need this information? That's
It
funny.
was horrible.
Yeah.
And then he explained to me, and I was like, oh, you see, so because what it means is you kind of like do two things at once, or yeah, you kind of.
You would never like mine then, because I used the one that says I killed two birds with one nuclear weapon.
There you go.
Overkill, but you know. Kidding.
I love
but yeah,
it.
there's so many things that we say in English, if that's the country that you're coming to, that this is a very difficult language to learn, I think.
It is.
Because there is so many things, like things are spelled the same way, but they sound different. Like knife, where you've got a KN, and it's like, how in the world do you get that out of that? And yeah, it's funny. And then you have to learn all the slang, and the slang constantly changes here. And
yeah, I'm so behind on the slang.
Yeah,
I feel like once you graduate high school, you're kind of get behind.
Yeah, maybe. Getting old. But no, the terminology and different things are very, very important. Like the two birds with one stone is a perfect example of how you can misunderstand and even be offended when you don't know the language or the idioms or the things that people say in everyday life. So it's very beneficial for what you're doing, and it's cool because you're also a I can't speak. You might want to help me. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Speech pathologist, because that really, enhances what you can do with other people from other countries. I just think that's beautiful. It's a beautiful match.
Thank you. That's really sweet of you. But yes. And then also I moved here when I was 15. I didn't speak English. I had to go through what a lot of these people are going through, so I can really relate. And I think at a different level than just learning it in school as well. Which
some people think I still
can't
speak English. No, I'm just kidding.
I can either. I
You do very, very well.
Thank you.
I've been speaking it since I was, little. So, but you know what? It's difficult when you're starting out and when you're trying to get yourself out there and things like that, and that's a process. How have you found that process, being finding clients and getting people that need your services?
That's really difficult because you have to build up your audience. So I've been lucky enough to have a lot of people sign up to my email list, where I'm able to send them newsletters and communicate with them that way, so they kind of know who I am, because it's so hard to just post to your family and friends on social media and say, like, hey, I'm doing this now. You kind of need to find your audience. So it's taking some time, but I'm having people interested and whatnot. But to be frankly honest with you, I'm not necessarily doing it so actively because I'm still working full time. So I feel like it's in the back burner, because I'm also creating my digital course where I'll be able to help people go through this process of learning to speak English with clarity and confidence online, with some options to also do coaching with me. But I feel like I will serve them the best this way, just because of where I am right now. So that's why it's taken up a lot of the time that on my resources right now, my course, which will launch at the end of January.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. After it's launched, we'll get you back on, and we'll have everybody out there check it out and stuff. But I think that the most difficult thing for any new entrepreneur is to get your message out there and get and that stuff too, and just to be able to get you out there, because people have to trust you and things like that as well in anything that you do. But in your building of your course, what things are you trying to target to help people, without giving everything away, obviously? But
no.
What are you trying to get people to be able to? What point are you trying to get people to? I guess that's the better question.
Well, I think after a course like that, you will have the tools you need to help you maybe develop the accent that you hope to have, because I can only give you the tools without you practicing and kind of reprogramming your brain and your muscles and you know your articulation, changing your articulation. I cannot do that for you. I can only tell you how to do that.
Right.
So it's really up to the person who signs up, because it takes time. You've been speaking a certain way. You've been kind of forming sounds a certain way most of your life, right?
Yes.
Then you learn this new language, which has a totally different phonetic system. It has it has totally different rules, different intonation. English is very melodic. There is, and even though you might be saying a message and you might say it without the right intonation, then you will lose the meaning of it, of what you're trying to say.
Absolutely. Totally
So
agree there.
yeah, so I'm putting all of those resources together. So I'm going to help people train their ear so they know what to look for in the language. I'm going to help them with how to pronounce the sounds, especially
really
the sounds that are different in English, like the TH sound. Not a lot of languages have that. This is very specific to English. The English vowels, those are really, those are some of the toughest pronunciation changes for a lot of people who are learning English. I know what they were for me, just because, for example, in Spanish, you just have 5 vowels, right? You have the a, e, I, o, u. In English, you have like 20, because you say the short E and the long E. You have the schwa. You have so many different vowels. So you need to learn how to pronounce them, because they can really also change the meaning of things. Because a lot of people will substitute, let's say, the long E for the short E. So instead of they want to say live, they'll say leave, you know, and things like that. So I'll give them the tools to kind of learn those different sounds. I have my outline on my wall, so I'm like looking over. Okay. Well, there's also intonation. There is the prosodic features of English that I'm going to teach them. I'm going to teach them the cultural aspects of it. Yeah, and give them some coaching along the way.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It really is. I never, you know, you don't think about that. I did have an exchange student friend when I was growing up in high school, and he was from Japan. And they have a terrible time with R's and L's.
Yes.
And I was trying to help him through that, but it astounded me as an English-speaking person. I couldn't understand why it was just those 2 letters and nothing else, you know, pretty much. I mean, it was kind of strange for me, but he did very well. I mean, he did very good in English. He wasn't perfect, but I could understand him and stuff like that. And we went back and forth. But that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. It's just being understood and being confident when you speak.
Is there a difference between, like, if you're coming here? I'm going to speak for America because that's where I'm at and that's kind of what I know. Is there a difference between the people here and the people where you were from? And if so, what are those differences in the people themselves? Not necessarily the language, but the people.
There is. One of my favorite, it's very different. One of my favorite examples is the customer service. For example, you'll go to a store in Poland, and if you do not have the exact change for the cashier to the cent or to the penny, she'll give you attitude. Like, she'll be upset about it. She'll be like, what am I supposed to, like, give you change? Like, can't you just give me the exact amount?
Wow,
and they'll give you attitude about it. Here, the customer service is great, you know, like people.
Hey, we don't think it is.
Right. No, it's so different. When you even deal with any kind of paperwork or bureaucracy in Poland, it takes so long. Actually, we just went to the Polish embassy in New York with my husband because he's renewing his passport, and the security guard, he was so rude to us. He would just, because we didn't have, I guess we were there early for the appointment, so that annoyed him. And then also the fact that we didn't have the form to fill out, because there's really nowhere to get the form unless you're in the embassy. Like, I don't know where to get this form from. So he's like, you don't have the form? You haven't filled it out? Like, what is wrong with you, kind of? It made us feel like such idiots, even though There was nothing, but that wouldn't happen in America. Like, American customer service is so different.
Yeah, because we're based on an economic society
Yeah.
where you almost have to be nice to the customer's always right type thing over here.
Yeah.
If Americans went over there, they probably would punch people in the face. It's more likely what would happen.
Well, they wouldn't even understand them, first of all, which is
Probably
good,
not.
I guess.
But I mean, if it was like,
no, it
like
wouldn't
that,
work. It would be
work.
so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's so different. But on the other hand, the Polish hospitality, we have this saying that if you have a guest in home, you have God at home. So you really treat them as royalty. So if you go to a Polish home and you visit them, like you have to
come to your place.
You will, but you can expect like a full meal. Ooh. You can expect drinks and alcohol and all that because people.
And your husband's a rapper, so I have entertainment too.
You will. He's
we'll
a really
have him on the
good
show too.
He's a really good drinking buddy. I don't like to drink, but he enjoys the party scene for sure. So that would be fun. But it's very different. And in America, it's more like, your guests, like your friends, like you might be offered like a drink or so, which is fine. Yeah. Like it's very,
very different.
Very different.
It was funny because there was a story. A guy from South Africa I knew and met in college, and he was like. He was always saying different things I didn't understand, so, just chips here is like Frito-Lays and stuff, and chips over there is fries. And it was just totally different for me. But he had this one thing where, like he was just telling me, if you would look at a real African in their eyes, that's a sign of disrespect. Whereas in America, if you don't look someone in the eye, it's kind of a sign that you're lying.
Right.
So to be in a diplomatic relation with someone with those two differences, it's almost impossible if you don't know the other person's, as to your point of studying your culture when you're going to go somewhere. Absolutely. It is very important because you could offend people for really stupid things,
right?
For just things that make no sense to you, but to them it's it's really bad.
And it's not even speaking, because 93
that wasn't even speaking.
93% of your communication is nonverbal.
Yes.
So you need to learn about, that communication as well.
Yep.
I should add that to my course.
You really should. See, I just gave you another chapter.
Thank you. Great. Another module.
Nonverbal communication.
Yay.
Yes, absolutely. It's been so good because people don't realize what people from other countries have to go through when they come here. You've given me some of the good things. So what are some of the bad things? I mean, it's okay. We can take it. We're tough over here,
Well, I landed in Queens, New York when I moved here, which is
that's a bad thing right off the bat.
Melting pot of cultures and everything. And I came from a small town of 17,000 people where everybody was white and Catholic and spoke my language.
Right.
And I came to Queens. So it was quite an experience.
Shock.
Culture shock, like in a nutshell. It was quite terrifying at first. But then once I embraced it, it was like the best thing that could have happened to me.
Yeah.
Because once you learn how to kind of live and thrive here, I feel like you can make it anywhere in a way, because it just prepares you for life.
Because it's that bad here. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I just mean...
I was kidding, by the way. But yeah, it is. It's like Detroit. And Detroit has so many different people in it too, where they have a Arab community and they have, there's white people, black people, and that's different here than it is at a lot of places in the world. It's a very different culture between races here, and even gender, is kind of a weird thing here. There's a lot of different moving parts that in some countries everything's uniform. Like in your place, it's like, hey, I'm white and I'm Catholic, so I'm like 95% of the people I see.
Right.
Where here, it's totally different.
Here, you walk down the street and it's kind of, you're expecting to meet somebody from like the other part of the world, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And I feel like it let me see a world in a different way. I feel like I might have been more sheltered if I stayed in my town. Not necessarily in Poland, because the big cities, they're a lot more diverse, especially now, which I'm so excited about. But, I didn't get to that point in my life because I was only nearly 15 when I left.
Yeah. No, totally understand it. Okay, so if there is one thing that you wanted to tell all of the people that are your audience, what would it be?
That you are amazing and you have incredible gifts, and don't be afraid to put it out there. Whether you have an accent, whether you come from a country that speaks English differently, whatever you are in your life, you are amazing, and embrace your gifts and be who you are. Because
oh, thank you. I know I'm amazing and everything, but no, I'm kidding. That's funny. No, it's true, though.
Yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely true. It is. And if you need the help, in all seriousness, because I do joke around just a little bit. It's my show. I do what I want. But no, in all seriousness, though, if you do need that help and you are listening to the show, reach out to Lena. Her stuff will be in the description below, so that'll be easy. And do you have, website or not? Or I'm trying to figure out, remember.
I do have a website. It's my name. So LenaLivinsky.com.
Okay. We can put that above there, but pretty much I don't know if we'll need to do that. I could put it on there, though, for you.
And just in case some people don't know how to spell it. So definitely. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yep. No problem.
There is another thing, spelling. It's really hard. And it's because in the United States, when you call somebody on the phone, you have to tell your name. And they're like, can you spell it for me? And to spell in English out loud, it took me a while to get used to that.
Never thought of that at all, but you're absolutely right. Your address, your stuff like that too.
Yeah. And if you want to do anything really, you have to call them on, especially now, you call on the phone, and you have to answer a lot of questions. It's stressful. Phone communication is very stressful.
I threw my phone away, but that's okay.
There you go. Yeah. Who needs that? Who needs that stress?
Actually, kind of did, because we don't even deal with phones. We don't. I do everything by Facebook or LinkedIn, Instagram, all that stuff. That's my communication. That's how I do it, and I don't have things ringing, so that helps a lot. Only my ears.
Yeah, that's right.
So, any final thoughts? Anything you want to get out there to the people, your people, my people, anybody?
Your people, my people.
Yeah.
We're all one people. Honestly, I think whatever it is you need, just don't be afraid to ask for help. There are resources out there for you if you need anything. People are out there, whether it's me or somebody else. Because if there's anything kind of in your way of your genius, get rid of those roadblocks so you can really put yourself out there as the real you.
Get the help you need.
Yeah.
You go through a lot of stuff when you're trying to do your own thing.
Yes.
I've never been a boss before, or I've never went to school for this or that or whatever. You know what? Most of that's a bunch of garbage anyway, but you do learn stuff. But there is a thing called experience, and you can learn from other people and people that have been there and done that. I think that's the best experience you can get.
Yeah.
You have to get over yourself too.
You do.
You can't be, if you're a person, and I'm just being honest with you here, if you're a person that, everything has to be perfect, it is not going to work for you for a while. No, we throw things together and stuff like this, and you have to be happy with doing something rather than doing it perfectly. It'll get there, but you have to start. Most people don't start because they don't believe in themselves enough. Or, oh, no, it's not good enough. It's not perfect enough. Well, it's not going to be, not going to be.
It's
not right away.
It's never going to be. No, never. I feel like perfection is this goal that some people have, and it's unrealistic. Nobody's perfect. If you are, you're lying. So
if you can settle in your imperfections, you'll relax and you'll be yourself.
Exactly.
And you won't have to worry about anything. It was funny. I got this thing too. If you get haters, because I've got a few sometimes, don't like this, don't like that. I don't care.
Right.
Because a lot of those people, they haven't done anything, to hate on you. That's the first thing. But the second thing is you're actually doing enough for someone to notice you and dislike you. That means you're actually doing something.
Right. That is Definitely go out and celebrate once you get your first hater out there.
Yep, I've said that. I've said that. But anyway, this has been a really fun interview. We've had a good time. We've got some good information out there. And you can find you on LinkedIn, I know, Facebook, I know,
Instagram,
any other platforms.
Any other platform. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. We'll
and
put all
your
the
website at
yes.
lenalivinsky.com.
Yes, you remembered. That's it.
Of course, I just read the name off the Zoom thing over here. I'm telling you, I'm not that technical right now. I mean, I can do things, but
I love it.
So anyway,
thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
It was a great time. It was a great time. To everybody out there, please hit the subscribe button, like the video if you like the video, and leave a comment below for Lena, and I hope she will come on and respond to you, or I'll respond to you, and we'll get you the help you need if you're one of those people that have come over to this country or another country and are having difficulty acclimating to that environment.
Yes.
We will be here for you, more than me, but you know what I mean. To everybody out there, for Lena, have a wonderful day.
Yes. Thank you.